Hi everyone. With Tomb of Sargeras probably coming out sometime in June, I thought a quick Helya Mythic guide would be useful for anyone who's trying to get that cutting edge achievement before it is impossible to get. I had a lot of fun learning this fight in 7.2, and it should only take on average 3 hours to learn from scratch. We went in with no experience and we killed in about 2.5 hours. And that was with a lot of close calls around the 2 hour mark. The strat that we used was the easiest that we were able to come up with. We never taunt switched in phase 1 due to the timing of the orbs and the fact the off tank will receive the debuff every time. So it would be breath, 3 seconds later an orb would come, and the taunt switch mechanics just was really rough. So we figured out that if I was able to stay alive for the 8 seconds he had to kite the orb, then I could stay alive for the last 20 seconds. So the druid was responsible with kiting the orbs, and I was responsible for tanking the boss. And the reasons why he kited instead of me was, first off, I did more damage. Demon Hunter at the moment does more damage than a druid. That allows you to hit the threshold points, the breaking points faster. Secondly, I am more mobile, and that's actually a bad thing with orb kiting. So if the orbs spawn and I jump out or I glide away, if I got too far ahead of the other orb kiters, there's a chance that my laser beam could slice them and one-shot them. And lastly is, even with 0 armor, Demon Spikes is still a 30% physical damage mitigation, and I could have that up almost the entire time. If I ran Feed the Demon, I could have had it up 100% of the time, but I ran Fracture because of the single target damage in the other 2 phases. And essentially this is what worked the best for our group, and I'm going to show you how we did that. So with that in mind, my entire job was to stay alive in phase 1. Phase 2 and phase 3 were extremely easy to tank. They were actually kind of relaxing. Like, we don't do anything in 2 and 3. So I geared myself, talents, and how I ran the fight, all designed for staying alive during phase 1. So my talents I used excuse me, was Razor Spikes for the damage, Burning Alive for the dot. Feast of the Souls probably would have been better for extra healing, but I ran with Burning Alive. I used Failure Eruption for the single target damage, Fracture for the single target damage, because in phase 2 and phase 3 you don't really need Demon Spikes up all the time, and damage does matter, so this is the best single target damage. Windows 6 I ran with Concentrated Sigils because it is more damage. I used Spirit Bomb just for the extra lifesteal in phase 1. Now there was a few times where it fell off, like if I need Demon Spikes up and it's about ready to wear off, so I need a Soul Cleave, and a Soul Cleave and bring in all the fragments so I can't Spirit Bomb, I would lose the frailty debuff, but I would try to get it back up as soon as possible. And then last resort, again, this is for safety in phase 1. You'll see there's times where I dip really low, like 10%. So this is there as a safety net, like a little cushion just in case, because the healers are always moving. They can't just spam all the time. For gear, I ran with my normal setup. 4-piece tier 19 is kind of essential. If you're going to use this strategy that we used, 4-piece is pretty much essential. Archimonde's Hatred Reborn is highly recommended. I will show you why in the rotation. This will be up for every other, like right after the breath happens, for every other breath. And the idea is you give your healers a few seconds to get some heals on you before you start getting pummeled. And then Pride is just for the shield and the stats. For consumables, I ran with the versatility food, the seed battered fish plate. Actually, no, I probably ran with the agility from the feast, because we were using the feast at this time. It was shortly after the feast came out. Well, the feast became good, and I used the agility flask, I believe. And for DPS, I just used the potion of prolonged power because most of the time I'm just spamming Soul Cleave. It's all about having more haste for Demon Spike's cooldown, just all your stats. So I would recommend the Prolonged Power. Alright, so let's look over the video. Alright, so we start the pull, and you should be starting with Fiery Brand. And that is to get the timing set up right. So you open up your Fiery Demise window and you just unload everything you can. Here I'm saving Demon Spikes and Empowered Wards because I know she's going to breathe. So for the breath, I pop Empowered Wards. You want it up every time she breathes. So the Empowered Wards the breath comes through. And the first thing I do is I pop my trinket after the breath. You don't want to proc it with the breath. The whole idea is now I have 30 seconds of no armor. And I want to make sure the healers have time to recover and heal me. So now I'm just doing my normal rotation, and my goal is to soul cleave and keep up as many stacks of Demon Spikes as possible. So I have two positions in phase 1. The first position is right here in front of the boss. The second position is just offset to the left. And basically you're going to notice is I just go back and forth between these two spots. It's because of the taint. Because the first taint goes off, and as soon as it's dispelled, I get the second taint right now. And then I stay here until it's dispelled, and I go back to the front. And then I stay here. Now, we have double tentacles. We have a tentacle on the left and a tentacle on the right. And they're going to cross right behind me. It's going to give us a little triangle to stand in. Now, it is imperative that you pay attention to which tentacle spawns first, because you're going to get taint during this process. And you're going to have to run either left or right depending on which one spawns first. In this poll, it was the left one that spawns first. And right there you can see there's like a little triangle that you can stand in and be safe. So taint comes out, is dispelled, I go left. That way I don't get hit by the second tentacle. Then I'm in position 2. Another taint is coming. And I know that a taint is going to come right, a breath is going to come right after this taint. So I'm telling my healers now, I'm like, you have to dispel me as soon as it's on me so I can eat the breath in the correct position. So as soon as I get taint, it's instantly dispelled, I move into the breath position. So Empower Wards for the breath. Now at this point, the second breath, as you notice, my Fiery Brand is coming off cooldown. Because you want to use it on the pull, so it's back off cooldown at this point. So use Fiery Brand to give healers a minute to make sure I stay topped off when I have 0 armor. Then this repeats. So move to position 2. Now this tentacle, this tentacle can get a little sketchy because it's going to shoot across sideways. Now, if the taint is still on me, I normally go to the left of the tentacle. In this pull, I go to the right. So during this tentacle, you can either go towards the middle or to the far left, are the two safe zones until the tentacle smashes. It's also smart to blow your meta in this phase, because phase 2 and phase 3 are kind of easy for tanking wise. So our job is just to stay alive right now. So I have taint, I'm waiting for it to cleanse so I can go for the next breath. So at this point, the breath is casting and she's getting ready to transition to phase 2. Now if we're like 3-4 seconds faster, we can skip the breath, but we're not. So you have to still kill these before you go up. So we're now in phase 2. In phase 2, 2 tentacles spawn at a time. So on each platform, there's going to be this Mistwalker. It has to die first, and you cannot interrupt her without hurting the raid. You can Death Grip her, and that counts without doing any extra AoE damage to the raid. So you pick up the ad, whatever ad you have, you pull it next to the tentacle. And you burn the ad down, and then you kill the tentacle. Now, it is imperative that these tentacles die within 10 seconds of each other. So we manually call out, hey, stop tentacle on the left, or stop DPS on the left or on the right, so we can kill them in time. And so it goes upper platform, bottom, upper, bottom, and then phase 3. So there's always going to be one missed watcher in phase on the bottom platform. It can spawn anywhere on this bottom platform. it is imperative, again, that you do not let her finish her cast, and everybody just kills her first. So we mark it, we kill it, we don't let her get the cast off, and then we kill these 2 tentacles up front. The ads that are running around cannot be tanked. You just kill them downstairs so the water will wash away anything that's down here. So you kill both tentacles within 10 seconds of each other. And then we go back up to the upstairs platforms. There's going to be a Mist Watcher that's going to spawn up here. Again, it dies first. Do not let it get the cast off. If any of them get 1 cast off, it screws up the entire rotation. So we pick up the other ad, we pull it back to the tentacle, we focus the ad down first. Alright, so the ad is now dead, and then we kill the tentacles. And we have to make sure they die again 10 seconds of each other. Now we are transitioning to the last part of phase 2. We have 2 tentacles in the back, and there's a Mist Watcher that's going to spawn down here somewhere. There it is. So we kill this first. We want to death grip it back towards the tentacles if you have a Death Knight. So we kill the Mist Watchers, and that's a bad camera angle. So once these die, I'll pause this real quick. Alright, right here. If you notice, everybody is back here on these right next to tentacles, and this is also pretty important. The whole idea is you need all this poison blight that spawns when the ad dies to spawn in the back for the phase 3 positioning, because you're not going to get a water for about 30 seconds. So you don't want this anywhere in the front. So everybody groups in the back and kills all the ads in the back. So phase 3 is starting, and they're killing all the ads. And I start on the boss because I had the boss in phase 1. So in phase 3, we are switching on breath. We have to. There's no way you can live through this. So you want to shoot the breath down the middle. So as soon as the breath hits, the other tank taunts. And then all you do here is you just DPS. Like, there's nothing else you can do. You didn't see it in this point, but the off tank will absorb the front shadow orb. And I'll show it when it's my turn to tank. Now, the ad is coming. Whatever tank is not going to have the breath debuff needs to pick up the ad. Since I know this ad will die before it's my turn to tank the breath, I taunt it and bring it over. So it has to die ASAP, and a breath is incoming. So I instantly taunt, and if you look, I run to the front absorb here. The off tank, whoever taunts has to soak the first one. It just makes the entire process easier. Now you just straight tank it. You just keep alternating between tank drops. And there's nothing really hard here. Like, this phase 3 is kind of relaxing for tanks because we just DPS her, and that's it. So here we have another ad coming, but if you notice, the next breath is in 2 seconds. So I cannot tank this ad and survive. So the off tank has to pick up the ad without using taunt, and he cannot or she cannot walk in front of the boss because of the breath. So I'm pretty sure he just Moonfire spams it to get the initial threat. So breath is coming. He picks up the ad and then he taunts off of me. Now he has to keep both the boss and the ad because the debuff is up for another 3 seconds. I just taunted off. Actually, I pulled threat. I could taunt now, but it really doesn't matter. And that's really it for phase 3. It's dead. So phase 1 is the only real hard part as the tank, and phase 2 and phase 3 is pretty laid back. And there she is. So yeah, you have a few weeks left if you want to get the Cutting Edge achievement. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will respond. If you liked the video, please like or subscribe. Thanks for watching.